Thank you everyone for subscribing. This is my way of saying thank you to each and every one of you that has made this journey so smooth and so pleased for me to come through. So this is the cap as I promised I will make for you guys. So this is done and dusted. So go on and enjoy yourself in watching how to sew your cap with ease. I make sure it is very easy for you to understand on how to sew. I just want to say thank you with this for subscribing, for showing your love, for being there for me all through this journey. I want to say thank you for so far. Go on and enjoy yourself. Welcome once again. As I told you, I made a promise of dropping how to sew your face cap when I got to 1,000 subscribers, but I want to do this before then because I like doing things in advance. So I want to show you guys on how to sew your face cap. So this is my pattern which I have ready. I will drop the link down below for you to get your face cap. There is a fee charge, there's a little fee which I'm charging to show you how to get your pattern for you to be able to make this cap. So I want to upload the sewing of the cap for free. So you can go ahead to watch the cap for free, but for the pattern there is a fee, there is a little fee which you need to pay to access your pattern. So let's go straight to our work. So this is a fabric which I kept after making a top for a client. So I kept this fabric. So because this fabric now I want to use it for my cap. So what I'm going to do now is to use my stay. You need an stay for this. So I'll use my stay, but without stay too, you can still do it without stay. But I love using stay because it gives it that smooth look. So I'm going to use my stay for my work right now. So what I'm going to do now is to gum my stay around at the wrong part of my fabric. I'm going to gum my stay. You should know how to gum your stay because I've posted a lot of videos on how to gum your stay. So because this stay is black now, if you take a look at this, you will see some white dots that are here. So these dots are the gums that I'm going to put on this place to gum my fabric. So this side that is smooth is the right side, and this side that is not smooth is the wrong side. So I'll go ahead to gum my stay on my fabric, then I'll come back to you to show you what to do next. So I have my fabric gummed. You can see where my gum stop, so you can see this part. So I have gummed my fabric with my stay. I did the same for this other part. So this is a how will I call it, a waste fabric that I want to make use of. So there's nothing waste in fashion. So everything are useful. So what I'm going to do is to get two pieces of this. So you can see times two of this and times two of this. So I need two pieces of this and two pieces of this. So let me go ahead to cut two pieces of this out first. Let me look for a better way to manage my fabric. You know, you don't just go ahead to waste fabric like that. So I'm looking for a better option to give. Okay. So I want to cut two pieces of that. And two, this is the side. This one here now is the side. I'm going to show you on how to couple it. Don't worry about that. Just stay with me to see how I go about this. So what I'm going to do now is to cut out exactly the shape that I have for my pattern. That's what I'm going to cut out right now. So I'll go ahead to cut out my pattern. You can as well trim it with your pen. If you have anything to trim it with, if it is your shortcut, make sure you are using this exact shape. Make sure you're not adding your own allowance so it does not disturb your work. So you can see what I'm doing. So I'm getting two pieces of this out from this my pattern right now. So I have two pieces out from this. So I'm going ahead to cut two pieces from this also. Two pieces from this. This is the back part. So without wasting much of your time, I am going to do the same thing the way I did for the other part. I'm going to cut two of these, then I'll come back to you, trim it equal, then I'll come back without wasting much of your time. So I have one piece for my center front, I have one piece of this, and for my side I have two pieces, and for my back I have two pieces. So what I'm going to do now is to use the same measurements to cut out my lining, because my pattern is going to need lining for it. So I decided to go with this biro blue for my lining, because my cap here has biro blue. You can go ahead to use black or any color which you please. You can go ahead to use any color you please to. So what I'm going to do now is to cut the same two piece that I have for my front. That's what I'm going to do. My front has one piece, then my back has two piece each. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut my lining first, two piece each for the side and the back. So that is what I want to do right here. So you can see me placing my fabric on fold, so it will give me two piece. So that's what I want to do here now. So what I'll do is to place it. Let me take one off and bring one of this in just like this. So you can see what I have here now. So I want to cut two piece. But when cutting your piece, make sure you don't cut it exactly the same length, because when sewing it normally jumps, it does not go straight. But if you can sew it equally, you can go ahead to cut it equal. But what I want to do now is to sew it first before trimming. Okay, so as I told you, this is what I want to do right now. So I'm going to cut my piece just like this. You can as well go ahead to put estay on your lining as you please. You can as well do that. That also gives your work a very nice, and it makes your fabric to be thick. So me, I don't want to put it from on my lining, but there are some cases that I do put on my lining, but for this I don't want to do that. It all depends on you. It will also go pretty fine if you do that. So you can see me pinning down my main fabric to my lining. So I'll do the same to this other part like this, pin it down. As I told you, I have spaces around. So when I sew it attached to the lining, that is when I am going to trim off my excesses at the lining. So you can see I'm also pinning this one down as well. This is pretty much very easy to make. Very, very easy. Very, very. When I say easy, it is very easy to make. Just follow the steps that I'm showing you now on how to go about this. So after I have done doing this for the sides and the back, to this front now, I'm going to make my front thicker. I'm going to make my front thicker than the rest part of my main fabric. So this is the center front. You know our caps normally thicks at the front. You can make it equal at every other side. That too will also work. But I like making my front thicker. So I'm going to put three layers of this estay. So you can see me putting the second layer. This is the second layer. You know I've gummed it before cutting out. I've gummed it. So I'm going to put another one again. Going to put another one again to make it three layers, so it comes out firm than the rest of them, because this is the front face. after I have done that, I went ahead to trim out all the excess that was on it. So after doing that, what I'm going to do next now is to make sure your lining is straight. Make sure there is no rumple on your lining. So what I'm going to do now is to pin this down. I'm going to pin the front part of my cap down. I want to see your own work. You can see my Facebook link. I have a page on Facebook. You can join me on Facebook through this link, and I would like you to post your work there. Post your work there, or you put it on my WhatsApp group so I can feature you in my video. I can feature your work. So don't forget to purchase the pattern as I told you. So you can see what I just did, just 3 minutes after. So what I'm going to do next is to take it to my sewing machine to sew my edges, to tack it down with my fabric. I'm going to do the same thing for all this piece. Then I'll come back to you. So let me go ahead to do that. What to do now is to sew it as I told you. So I want to sew around it just like this. Make sure you sew very close to the end there. You can see what I'm doing. Sew very close to my end there. Your sewing should be about 0.2 inch. 0.2 inch. That is what I'm sewing. Very close to my end there. So you can see what I just did. So that this is the same thing I'm going to do for the rest part of the cap. So let me go ahead to do that. So for the front now, this is my front which I have now. So what I want to do now is to sew 0.2 inch. So 0.2. Let me start from this one now. Where is my, okay, 0.2, just a little piece of this, or should I? So this is what I mean by 0.2. So you can see my 0 here. Here's my 0. 1, 2. That is what you are going to sew from this part. 0.2. You can see 1, 2. That's what you are going to sew from this part. So you are going to sew from there now down to this end here for the front. Make sure your lines are straight. From this part, you're going to sew down to the end here, down to this end here. Make sure it is straight down like this. So what you're going to do, you can see I have ironed my lining. After sewing it, I trim off everything. You can see my lining which I put under. Make sure you still have your 0.5 inch, which you have as your top sewing allowance, because in the pattern, if you have not watched the video, go ahead to watch the video. You will understand how I got the 0.5. So for the back, what I'm going to do for this back now is to sew the same 0.2 inch. I'm going to sew the same 0.2 inch from this point down to this point here. So I'm going to do the same for my front. So I want to make use of the front and back. Let me go ahead to do it and come back to show you. So you can see what I just did here now. And I open my front. You can see what I have there. So at this point, this is my back also. The same 0.2 inch, that is what you are going to sew. Make sure you sew it very close. That's your 0.2 inch. That is our sewing allowance that is left for us to work with. So you can see for back. So let's go to the work table. Let me show you what to do next. So I'm about to iron this part. So what I'm going to do now is to sprinkle water then iron it like this. So you can see me iron, make sure this place is flat, just like this. So let me show you what to do next. So you need a bias for this. So this is my bias which I want to use to seal off this my edge that I sewed. So what I'm going to do now is to place my bias like this. You can see my bias which I placed like this. But in this case, we are going to sew it from this outside. You must take care in doing this. So you spread it like this. For it to be able to come out, you spread it like this. You can see. So you sew from this outside. You can sew 0.3 inch or 0.2 inch downwards this way. Sew from here also downward this way. So you can see that's what you're going to do when your bias is outside, inside like this. So let me go ahead to do that.
You open there. Nobody, don't come outside.
So what I want to do now is to sew one part in like this. From this my edge here, that is where I'm going to sew through after putting my bias like this. So you can see what I'm about to do now. At this edge, very close like this. That is where I'm going to sew from. So I'm going to sew it down till the end, just like this. So you can see what I just did. So I cut it out. Then at this top part now, I'm going to sew it from this outside. So when sewing it from this outside, I will make sure I pull my fabric like this so there is no rumple inside of these lines. So I'll go ahead to do that. Pull it open like this. So once I'm done with this part, what I'm going to do next, after I have sewn this like this, what I'm going to do next is to put my bias. I'm going to sew my bias at this back part, just like this. Put my bias like this. So there, this is what I got. So what I'm going to do now is to turn this in. You can see what I did after sewing it like this. You can see after sewing it in like this, turn it in and sew my bias inward. I am making use of black thread because my fabric is black. Okay, so our piece is coming close bit by bit. Bit by bit, our pieces are coming close bit by bit. So you can see what I have for the back. So let me go to the work table to show you what to do next. Okay, so after sewing my back piece like this, so this is how, this is the back and this is the front. Take a look at what I want to do. This is the back, this is the front, this is how it will be. So what I'm going to do for this my side piece now, I'm going to put one side piece at this part like this, then the other side piece at this other side. Hope you understand. So one side piece will come to this side for my back, and another side piece will come to this side of my front. So what I'm going to do now is to sew the same 0.2 inch as I told you is our sewing allowance. We're going to sew the same 0.2 inch down to this up for this side, and at this other side also I'm going to sew the same 0.2 inch down to this up. Make sure it fits into this up. So let me go ahead to do that. Okay, so this was how it was. I have gone ahead to sew it together. So you can see I have sewn it the same 0.2 inch. So make sure when sewing, make sure it laps at this end. Even if it is not equal to this end, make sure you make it to lap at this end, because we cut this with patterns, so everything should be in place the same. So after doing that, so what I'm going to do now is to place it like so you can see how it looks now. This is my front and this is my back. This is the side we join for the front, this is the part we join for the back. So what I'm going to do now is to turn it over like this. So you can see what I just did here. I turned it over like this. And this my front here. This my front which I have here. This is my front line. This is my front which I sewed that is appearing at the middle of this point here. This point should sit at the middle of this point that I also sewed for the back. So it should meet just like this. It should meet like, make sure you place it like this to confirm what you are doing. Place it like this. Then sew from this side down to this side. So let's go to the sewing machine. Let me show you how to do it. So you can see what I just did here. As I told you, this your line for your front should sit at this line at the back. So this is what I'm doing here now, making sure it is sitting at that same line. Then I'm going to sew all the way from this end. All the way from this end. Make sure it is equal at this end here. So make sure you are still sewing 0.2 inches away from your end. That is our sewing allowance for this strap, 0.2 inches. If you can go lesser than that, it's okay, but don't go more than that. So I'm trying to make sure this is my back, my center back and my center front is meeting each other. So that's what I'm doing right now. So you can see it is equal with each other. So you can see this side is coming out, this side is longer than this part, but there is no problem there. I'm going to make it to fall in place to be equal because I cut this with pattern, so it is supposed to sit equal. Don't allow it to extend more than that. Make sure it sits equal. So you can see it is now equal. It is now equal. So I'll go ahead to sew the same sewing allowance which I told you we are working with all through this card. That is the same allowance we are also going to work with. The way you get to this place, you can see this part here is facing this part, this line that I have here that I joined my side from is facing this way. This mark here now is facing this way. So make sure this your line at this other part. You can see this other line at this other part. Make sure it is also facing that way. So you can see I'm going to push it in for it to also face that way. There is a purpose for that, and I will show you how to go about that. So it is also facing that way. So that's what I just did here now. So what I'm going to do now is to sew here. So here it's not compulsory you sew in with this one. Just sew there, and you will pass there, and there will be some space, a little space at that up there, but you're not supposed to sew it together. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So you can see me connecting it down, extending it, the sewing down to this other one. Okay. So make sure it is equal with this your end part. Make sure it is equal with your end part. So you can see what I just did there. So this is what I told you. You might not sew it in. This is how I sew it. So don't sew it inward like this to cross it because you want to close your midpoint. Just take it and sew at this end there. So you can see how the inside look like. You can see how the inside look like. This is rough. This is how it's supposed to be. So if you want to put your buttons there, you can put your button there. But for my cap, I don't put the buttons because I don't have the machine to put these buttons. So after you have done that, you can see what we have now. So this is what we have now for our block. Our cap block has come out. So what I'm going to do now is to use my bias strip the way I did for the other part. So this is what I want to sew now, this part. So you can see this is my position now. I'm going to shift it to the way I want it to sit. So you can see. So if this one now is facing this way, make sure this other side also facing this way. So that is how I want to lay it, face this way. And I'm going to sew it down to this one the way I showed you on how to sew this part. That is the same way you're going to sew this one. So let me go ahead to sew it and show you how it looks. So you can see I have sealed there. I have sealed there. So you can see how it looks outside. It looks very neat after sealing. So you can see I've closed all my rough edges. So I'm still going to do the same way I did for this. I'm still going to do it to this other part. I told you the way I sealed this part, that's the same way I used to do this part. So you can see how it looks. So I want to apply this part, and I want to show you how to do it so you know how I did that other part. So you can see these my lines are also facing this way. This one is also facing this way. You can see my line here. So my bias now, I'm going to place my bias strip just like this. So you can see what I'm doing just like this. So make sure your bias is sitting after you've spread it open. Make sure your bias is sitting at this exact end, at that exact rough edge. Make sure it is sitting on that exact rough edge. Then you stitch it. Your stitch is going to press it down.